Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.
You know what's the most awkward thing in professional networking? Meeting someone amazing, having a great conversation, exchanging contacts, and then ghosting them for 3 months because you have no idea how to follow up. I'm Marcus, and I'm so glad you're here today because we're tackling this exact problem. And I have the perfect person to help us. Sarah, welcome. I'm really excited to have you here, and I can't wait for you to share your expertise on this. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Marcus, great to see you. Happy to dive into this with you. Look, most people don't realize this, but 70% of emails require a follow-up to get any response at all. That means if you don't follow up, you might as well not have sent the first email. And yet, 44% of people give up after just one attempt. So you've got this massive disconnect. Most people need follow-up to respond, but almost nobody actually does it.
Wait, 70%? So the first email basically doesn't work?
For most people, no. The first email gets about a 4.5% response rate. But when you add follow-ups, that jumps to 20% or higher. And here's the kicker. The first follow-up is 40% more effective than your original email. It's literally the highest ROI email in any sequence.
So the follow-up is actually more important than the first email?
In many cases, yes. Because the first email might have been buried, ignored, or just bad timing. The follow-up gives you another shot.
Okay, so tell me, why is this such a big problem? Why don't people just follow up?
A few reasons. First, there's this fear that you're being annoying or pushy. People think, I already sent one email. If they wanted to respond, they would have. But that's not how human psychology works. The average person gets 121 emails per day. Your email is competing with 120 others. It might have been buried instantly.
So it's not that they don't care, they just didn't see it?
Exactly. Or they saw it, meant to respond, and forgot. Life happens. But here's the other issue. There's something called the forgetting curve. Research from Ebbinghaus shows we forget 50% of new information within 24 hours and 70% within 72 hours. So if you met someone at an event and don't follow up within 24 hours, you're already halfway forgotten.
That's brutal.
It is. And after 72 hours, they've met 20 other people. You're competing for mental space. Without a follow-up, you're just gone.
So what's actually happening when someone doesn't follow up? What's the psychology?
Okay, so there's this principle called commitment and consistency from Robert Cialdini's research. When someone responds to an initial email, they're more committed to continuing the relationship. It's a psychological bias. We like to be consistent with our actions. So the first email plants a seed. The follow-up creates a decision point. Respond or ignore again. And by the 4th to 8th follow-up, they've essentially made a choice.
So you're basically giving them multiple chances to decide?
Exactly. And here's the interesting part. 55% of people who actually become real connections say yes on the 4th through 8th follow-up. Not the 1st, not the 2nd, the 4th through 8th.
Wait, that many follow-ups?
I know it sounds like a lot, but only 2% of people follow up more than once. So if you're willing to do 3 or 4 follow-ups, you're already in the top 2% of networkers. You're outlasting 98% of your competition.
That's a good phrase, outlasting your competition. Is that common in business English?
Yeah, outlast means to persist longer than others. You'd use it in competitive contexts, sales, negotiations, endurance situations. It implies you win by staying in the game longer. Native speakers use it all the time in business.
All right, so what do most people get wrong? Give me an example of a bad follow-up.
Okay, imagine you meet someone at a conference. You send an email a week later. Subject line, follow-up. Body, copy-paste of the exact same email you already sent.
That sounds like spam.
It is spam. And here's what happens. They see the subject line, follow-up, which is generic and boring. They open it, see it's the exact same email, and think, this person didn't even try. This is mass outreach. Credibility equals dead.
So that backfires?
Completely. Generic follow-ups look like you don't care enough to personalize, and personalization is everything. Research shows that subject lines with the recipient's name have a 50% higher open rate. That's not marginal, that's massive.
So what should they do instead?
Instead, you'd send a fresh angle. Like subject line, name, one thing I meant to mention, the specific topic. Body, reference something specific from your conversation, then add new value. Maybe an article, a resource, a connection. Something they didn't get in the first email.
Oh, wow, that's so different. So you're proving you actually remember them?
Exactly. And you're giving them a reason to respond. The first email might have been buried. This one has new information, so it's worth opening.
What about timing? When should someone follow up?
Within 24 hours for the first follow-up. This is non-negotiable. Research from Yesware shows that following up within 24 hours equals 25% reply rate. Wait 3 days? 12% reply rate. That's literally double the effectiveness.
Why is 24 hours so important?
Because of that forgetting curve we talked about. After 24 hours, you're competing with 50% memory decay. After 72 hours, 70%. You want to reach out while you're still fresh in their mind, while they still remember the conversation clearly.
So basically, strike while the iron is hot.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Timing also signals importance. If you wait a week, it signals, this relationship isn't a priority. If you follow up the next day, it signals, I genuinely want to stay in touch.
Okay, so what's the solution? How do you actually structure a follow-up sequence?
So here's the framework I recommend. It's a 3-email sequence. Email number 1 within 24 hours, the quick connection email. Email number 2 about 3 to 5 days later, the value add email. Email number 3 about 7 to 10 days later, the final offer email. Each one has a different purpose and angle.
Can you walk me through what each one looks like?
Sure. Email number 1 is short and specific. Subject line, name, great meeting you, and one specific thing they mentioned. Body, 2 to 3 sentences max. You reference your conversation, add one quick insight or question, and include a micro ask. Like, would love to grab coffee if you're open to it.
So you're keeping it super tight.
Exactly. You're respecting their time. And by referencing something specific, you're proving it was a real conversation, not mass outreach. Success rate on this email is about 15 to 20%.
What about email number 2?
Email number 2 is the value add. This one's my favorite. Subject line, name, thought of you when I read this, specific resource. Body, share an article, podcast, connection, or idea that's directly relevant to something they mentioned. The key here is you're not asking for anything. You're just giving value.
So you're proving you were actually listening.
Exactly. And here's the psychology. When you give value first, people feel a sense of reciprocity. They want to give something back. So even if they didn't respond to email number 1, this one might trigger a response because you've been helpful.
That's a good phrase, sense of reciprocity. For our listeners learning English, what does that actually mean?
Reciprocity basically means when someone does something for you, you feel obligated to do something for them in return. It's a fundamental human principle. In business, we leverage reciprocity all the time. You give value first, and people naturally want to help you back.
Got it. So you're creating that obligation naturally.
Right. And email number 2 gets about 8 to 12% response rate. Lower than number 1, but higher quality responses, because they're genuinely interested.
And email number 3?
Email number 3 is the final offer. Subject line, name, one last thing, let's, specific ask. Body, super short. You acknowledge this is your final follow-up, give a very specific ask, and offer specific times. Like, final follow-up on my end. Would you be interested in a 15-minute call next Tuesday or Wednesday? Either way, no pressure.
So you're giving them an out.
Yeah, and that's important. You're signaling, I'm not going to chase you forever. It's respectful closure. If they don't respond to this one, they're not interested, and you move on. Success rate is about 5 to 8%, but those responses are often high-quality yes answers.
Can you give me the phrase exactly? How would I say that in an email?
You'd say, Final follow-up on my end. Would you be interested in specific ask? Either way, no pressure. But if you're interested, I'm available, specific times. That exact wording works because it's clear, respectful, and actionable.
What about people who are nervous about seeming pushy? How do they know when to stop?
Great question. Here's the rule. If someone doesn't respond after 3 follow-ups, they're either not interested or the timing is wrong. Either way, you stop. 3 strikes, you're out. More than that, and you risk looking desperate or annoying.
So 3 is the magic number?
For most situations, yes. Sales might go 5 to 8, but for networking, 3 is plenty. And here's the thing. Research shows that effectiveness drops by 66% after the first follow-up. So you get diminishing returns. The first follow-up is gold. The second is still valuable. The third is your final shot.
That makes sense. So you're not wasting time on dead leads.
Exactly. And you're preserving your credibility. Better to bow out gracefully than to become that person who won't stop emailing.
Give me one more example. What if someone wants to follow up after a networking event, but they don't have a business ask? They just want to stay in touch.
Okay, so in that case, you'd use what I call the connector approach. You'd say, really enjoyed our conversation about topic. You mentioned you were exploring X. I thought of you when connection or resource came up. I connected you to person's name on LinkedIn. They're doing similar work. Hope that's useful.
So you're making an introduction.
Exactly. And introductions are gold in networking. You're showing you're a connector, the best kind of networker, and you're giving value without asking for anything. That email gets about a 60% response rate because you gave value first.
Wow, 60%? That's huge.
It is, because people love genuine help. And when you're the person who makes valuable introductions, you become memorable. They'll remember you as someone who helps, not someone who takes.
Before we wrap up, let's recap the key terms we talked about today.
Sure, the main ones were follow-up, outlast, reciprocity, and value add. Follow-up means to contact someone again after an initial interaction. Outlast means to persist longer than your competition or others. Reciprocity is the principle that when someone helps you, you feel obligated to help them back. And value add means providing something useful or beneficial without expecting anything in return.
Great. So our listeners can use these terms when they're networking, building professional relationships, or reaching out to new contacts. All right, so the big takeaway here is don't give up after one email. Follow up within 24 hours, add value, and be willing to reach out 2 to 3 times. Most people quit too soon, which means if you persist, you're already ahead of 98% of people. Sarah, what's the one thing you want people to take from this?
Stop being afraid of following up. The research is crystal clear. 70% of emails need a follow-up to get any response. If you're not following up, you're leaving relationships on the table. And the best part? Most people don't do it, so when you do, you immediately stand out.
Here's what we want from listeners. Try the 24-hour follow-up challenge this week. Meet someone new, follow up within 24 hours, and track your response rate. Come back and tell us what happened. Did you get more responses than usual?
And use the 3-email sequence. Don't give up after one try. Persistence wins.
All right, next time we're diving into something I think you're really going to love, how to make yourself memorable through hobby conversation starters. You know that awkward moment when someone asks, "What do you do for fun?" and your brain just freezes? We're breaking down 7 conversation starters that make you instantly interesting and help you connect on a deeper level. This one's super practical, especially if networking conversations tend to feel a bit stiff.
Oh, I'm already excited about that one. That's such a game changer for people who struggle with small talk.
Right? Sarah, this was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights today.
My pleasure, Marcus. And hey, everyone listening, go out there and actually follow up with someone this week. You'll be surprised how much it changes things.
Love that. All right, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay connected.
See you next time.
Business Essentials Podcast. Unlock your career.
Learn to speak business English like a pro.